In the name of one holy and triune God, Amen. Please be seated. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, in early May, for the past several years, a pair of mallard ducks have taken up residence in the courtyard of the apartment complex I live in. There are a couple of pools of water, and there are lots of reeds and bushes and grasses that seem to be just right for nesting. So every spring, a dozen or so ducklings hatch, and they wander the courtyard in the morning and in the early evening, following the mother duck. This family of mallards is closely monitored by those of us who live around the courtyard, and I have a very good view of it from my 5th floor living room. So I enjoy watching the ducklings grow from barely discernible pieces of fluff to graceful brown fledglings over the summer. As I've watched the mallards, I've noticed how vigilant the mother duck is with her offspring. They have freedom to roam about after her, but if there's any danger that she spots, she calls to them, she quacks, and they come running to her. Sometimes, most of the time, she leads them into the reeds and the bushes and the grasses where they can hide. But more than once, I have seen her spread her wings over the whole mass of ducklings, tucking them in, and hunker down close to the ground when she senses a threat from above from one of the neighborhood hawks. With her wings spread out, she is very vulnerable because she can't run or take to the air from that position. The ducklings, though, are safe from attack. She puts her body between the ducklings and danger. In the middle of today's passage from Luke, Jesus compares himself to a mother hen, wanting to gather the children of Jerusalem to safety in the same way that the mallard hen does in the courtyard. He wants to keep the people safe and protected. Unlike the ducklings, however, Jerusalem and her children aren't willing to be gathered into safety. Jesus, on the road to Jerusalem, expresses his sadness and his sorrow at this rejection. Could I have some water, Chris? Thank you. Thought I could get by without it. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I wonder, when have you felt the desire to gather someone up in your arms and hold them protectively? Most of us have felt that urge at some time or other. When someone is hurting and fearful, there's an almost instinctive desire to reach out to comfort and protect. We try to shelter those we love with our own bodies, much as the hen shelters her offspring. It's a powerful desire. I wonder, too, about the times we have been offered safety of a sheltering embrace. How have we responded? Have we gratefully allowed someone to shelter and comfort us? Or have we shied away from the embrace and wanted to be on our own? Thank you very much. What makes the difference in those two responses? I don't know about you, but I have had times in my life when I have rejected comfort and protection because I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be able to care completely for myself. And there have been times when I have seen allowing someone else to care for me as weakness and didn't want that at all. Now, independence is a good thing, but when we take it too far, we can become counter-dependent, and we reject life-giving relationships. As always, our relationships with the people in our lives both reflect and mold our relationship with God. when we are counter-dependent with the people in our life, holding them at a distance in our desire for self-sufficiency, we're usually the same way with God. And this becomes a barrier between ourselves and the one who desires union with us. That God who created everything that exists yearns for a deep relationship with us. That is an amazing thing. We are made for oneness with God. God in Jesus became human to bring about that union. We follow Jesus not only to find oneness with God ourselves, but in order to come into union with others and with the whole of creation in the fullness of God's kingdom. Jesus is the one who shows us the way to that union, and we follow Jesus in order to enter that kingdom. During Lent, Jesus is on the way to Jerusalem, the city that kills those who are sent to her. And like the disciples, we are reluctant to move with Jesus toward Jerusalem. We know what's going to happen in the city. We want the comfort and safety of being gathered into Jesus, but we're afraid of the death that is waiting for him. We pull back from him and cling to a safety of our own making. Our own Jerusalem this Lent doesn't have a wooden cross and physical death at the end of our journey. But the way to God's kingdom does go through death of one kind or another. It could be death to anxiety and hesitation. Perhaps it's death to anger or fear. Maybe it's the death to the self-sufficiency that isolates me from God and others. I invite you this week of Lent to consider what is the death that awaits you this Lent as you follow Jesus to Jerusalem. Take heart, take courage. Allow yourself to be sheltered on the way by Jesus' wings of love and compassion. And know for sure that death never has the last word. That belongs to God, who transforms every death into new life. Amen.